Welcome to the Woman's Connection. I'm barrie-louise, your moderator. The Woman's Connection is a program about events shaping women's lives and helping one gain authentic power on a personal or professional level. So won't you stay tuned?
Welcome. In this day and age, it's not only our responsibility to protect ourselves on the internet. When you're walking down the street or going shopping in a mall, you need to know how to be protective of yourself and everybody else around you that matters. And with me today are two women who are going to explain some basics on helping us be protective. And I would like to welcome Jennifer Cassetta and Lindsay Smith. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah.
Let's start kind of like at the beginning, more or less, on your background, and then we'll get into protecting ourselves and how it all came about.
Sure.
Jennifer, why don't you start?
Sure. I was living in New York City, actually, after college, and during college I went to school in the Bronx at Fordham, where, by the way, we did not learn any self-defense, and we needed to. So years later, I just wanted to try martial arts. My father was doing martial arts for many years, and I saw the world of difference it made in his life, from his health to, well, he was always confident, but for him it kind of like made him more focused, if you will. So I tried it out just for exercise and fitness, and I wound up just loving it and loving the benefits that it gave me, both emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and I got really involved in it in a short amount of time. About 2 years into it, I would say, I was living on 15th Street between 1st and 2nd, and I was got out of a cab on the corner instead of in front of my building. As I was walking to my apartment, a guy came up from behind me, up my dress, grabbed me, really took me by surprise. I didn't know what was going to happen next, so I kind of took control of the situation. I didn't need to use any of the martial arts moves that I had learned, but the most important thing was the martial arts training gave me the confidence and empowerment to fight back. So I was screaming, and I, chased my attacker down the street wearing heels that night, and realized in the next few days after that how important it is for all women to learn self-defense. And how many people don't know it. So I got more involved in my training at World Martial Arts Center. That was the school, actually. Now they're in Brooklyn. And loved it, and then took that on as a career along with personal training and nutrition. I went to school for nutrition. We both went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and then later on I went back for my master's degree in nutrition. So fast forward, lots of years. There were women coming up to me asking me to teach them self-defense, and that's when I created a program called Stilettos in Self-Defense. And kind of the rest is history. I can keep going, but
We'll get into it.
yes.
Lindsay, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I actually, mine started when I was a kid. I was 12 years old, and I just had really low self-esteem. I wasn't confident in who I was, and I had severe anxiety. So I suffered from panic attacks. I was hospitalized when I was 12 for severe anxiety. And at a young age, I was intuitive enough to know that this wasn't normal. And so I sought out everything that I could possibly seek out to heal myself. And eventually I stumbled across a wellness center that specialized in a mind, body, spirit approach to healing. And so through that experience, I started working with a mentor. I started focusing on nutrition and health and really appreciating my body, being able to stand confident in myself and really appreciate and respect myself in many ways. And within 6 months of working with him, my anxiety was pretty much gone. And it's something that I've adopted and decided to make a career out of. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I studied nutrition and health, and I'm dubbed the food mood girl because I'm very passionate about food and mood, but also really standing confident and strong in who you are. And that's pretty much when Jen and I decided to get together to write our book that we'll be discussing today. because it's something that is really important. Jen had her experience when I was 17. Fast forward to when I was 17, I was sexually assaulted. And so with those two instances, we're both pretty strong, independent women, but those two instances really shook us up. And so we wanted to be able to teach other young women how to stand strong and confident and stay safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Quite interesting. Well, you wrote a book, as you mentioned,
Yes.
called Hear Me Roar, How to Defend Your Mind, Body, and Heart Against People Who Suck.
Yes.
Now, is this geared for any age group? Is it geared for any age group? I'm talking more, I guess you could say, about the self-defense part.
I would say every woman at any age can learn something from that book as far as personal safety goes. I think it's not something that's on everybody's forefront. Like, they're not always thinking about their safety, and we tend to have a lot of bad habits around personal safety. So,
You use the term sucky or suck. What is your definition of people who are sucky?
Well, you know, Jen and I had very personal experiences. So Jen was grabbed on the street by some guy who sucks.
He sucks.
Yeah, he sucks. I was sexually assaulted by a guy who sucks. But we didn't want those two instances to just be what the book was about, because let's face it, people that put you down are negative, bosses that are inappropriate to you. What else? There's lots of sucky people. Yeah. We wanted to open the book up to more people that, you know, not just violence or sexual assault, but really people in your everyday life that can just really put you down and make you feel less than.
Sometimes it could be relatives, you know, or like she said, bosses or coworkers as well.
What do you find to be the number one reason that women are so vulnerable to sucky people? Or maybe we can term it as people who are bullies. To me, they're almost the same.
Why women are vulnerable? I mean, definitely men and women are both vulnerable, depending on the person. I think it goes back to just societal norms that we've grown up with, where, I mean, you know, girls are taught to be quiet and you know, speak when spoken to and be demure and sweet, and, you know, men are kind of encouraged to be the aggressors a bit. So, I mean, we could go into
Caveman mentality?
Yeah, of course. And the statistics are, you know, if you don't even want to believe all that, the statistics are that women are the ones getting sexually assaulted and the victims of domestic violence. Yes, it does occur the other way too. Sometimes women are the attackers, the predators, but it's so much less. You know, that's just
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Now, you talk about various things in your book, and one of them is building self-confidence up. And you have exercises. What would you say is the most pertinent one that women do to build their self-confidence?
I would say identifying why you're feeling. I'd say the first thing to do is identify why you're feeling less than confident. And a lot of the times, when you get down to it, it's usually because of something outside of yourself. We're usually comparing ourselves to friends, to families, to strangers on the internet, you know, to people we don't even know.
Billboards, celebrities, reality stars. I mean, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. And when you get down to it, I think it's really identifying what's taking place and what is making you feel that way, and then being able to start to kind of face that fear or break down those walls a little bit by appreciating the things in you, because everyone has value and everyone can bring something to the table. And when we can start to see our own uniqueness and our own really beauty, then we can truly appreciate it. And I think that can start carrying through day by day. It feels weird at first, but over time, it definitely becomes a part of who you are.
Now, what would you say would be the best thing that women can say to themselves to enhance their self-confidence going forward. You say there's lots of things we say and do that shows our insecurities, we're fearful, etc. What do you feel is the best that going forward?
Two things just came to my mind, but the first very simple thing that every woman can do is learn how to take a compliment. And I think especially when girls and women are together, I love that purple blazer. Oh no, it's nothing. Or, women tend to kind of, shrug off compliments like they're not worthy of them, instead of just saying thank you, being gracious. So I think
And own it.
And own it.
Own the compliment.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be one.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I would say, one of the things in the book that we always talk about is really being able to switch your mindset a bit. So instead of saying, yesterday I just had a conversation with someone about this, and she said, Lindsay, I used to wake up and if my jeans didn't fit me, I'd say, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. And I would get so upset and I'd play this over and over again. And then once I realized and I stopped and I just said, you know what, I'm strong, I'm healthy, and just simply shifted that, she was like, I lost weight. She's like, I lost weight because I was no longer stressing. I was no longer feeling really bad about myself. Instead, I just said, you know what, I'm strong and healthy and I'm doing the best that I can right now. Mm-hmm. So I think those simple shifts can make a huge difference.
Language is so important.
Jennifer, you said that there was two. You mentioned one.
Oh, body language is so important. Just the way we're sitting right now, the way we walk out of the studio, walking down the street, you can convey confidence. And one thing I like to teach in these classes is basically fake it till you make it. Sometimes if you are feeling vulnerable, scared maybe, walking to the parking garage late at night, a little scared, sure. Fake it till you make it. Walk with confidence. So that's body language, keeping your shoulders back, head held high, making eye contact with people around you. That gives off confidence and also kind of a don't mess with me attitude.
Oh, because if I'm traveling and I'm walking around and I smile at everybody, especially the men, they think I'm picking them up. And I'm not. I'm just very natural.
Right.
I'm just happy.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah, okay, thank you. It's just kind of,
Accepting a compliment.
it's kind of like a double-edged sword then, like,
right.
you gotta be
I'm not
careful.
saying flirt with people, don't wink at them. No, but making eye contact is important, I think.
Well, and another thing, this is something that Jen can probably speak more of, but another thing is sometimes, yes, like if you're walking down the street, like I had that today where I just was happy and I just looked up, made eye contact with someone, and then they whistled at me. And it's like, that's not really the kind of attention I want. I'm just happy and I'm just trying to exude that confident self. But what we have laid out in the Hear Me Roar book is verbal kung fu. So if people say inappropriate things to you, or they whistle at you, or they want something from you, because that I think takes it to another level. And Jen mapped out some really great verbal kung fu in the book to help combat when people say nasty things or whistle.
Try to take advantage of you.
What is your favorite?
Oh, I like to tell people off. I'm from New York, so it's really tough for me to not tell people off sometimes. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, just own it.
Right.
When writing this book, I joke with Jen because she wrote a lot of the self-defense part. And after I would read her part, I would just be so amped up, like I was ready. I was like ready to go after it with someone. I was like, yes. So it's rubbed off on me a little bit.
Right. Some of my favorite ways, in a very polite way, is to ask a question. So, for example, if someone kind of gives you that backhanded compliment, or just plain insults you, or makes a racist comment, any kind of thing that gives you chills or, hairs stand up, I would just say, clarify it with the person, say, oh, I just heard you say X. Is that what you meant? And a lot of times people will be like, oh, they're not used to someone calling them out on it. So I love that. I learned that from my dad. He's always like, ask questions, and it really works because a lot of people will say, oh wow, I just sounded like a real jerk, or you just clarified that they are the jerk, so you don't have to be.
Well, you know,
with that
going
person.
back to being whistled at on the street, I would sometimes turn around and say thank you, or I'd say, you know, and it's really kind of funny because at first I was always offended by it.
Right.
And then I guess it depended on the day that they did it with all the construction here in New York. So I would say thank you or whatever, and it was just like, I called them on it. So I think they were surprised that I called them on it,
Right.
and it was just, you know, kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think any way you decide to react to that, as long as you do it with confidence, and I you know, I really don't think that we need to be angry all the time when a man whistles or makes a comment, like, because the anger isn't going to help at all. No, we don't need, you know, we don't deserve negative comments at all, but if a man wants to whistle, like, I just ignore, and don't give any negative attention back.
Now, in your book, you share some interesting meditation routines. You want to tell us a little bit about that or explain it?
So I think one of the meditations that stands out is really about loving your body and appreciating your body, and it takes you through this simple meditation on how to really love every single part of your body, because I think as women we can put ourselves down and give ourselves a lot of negative self-talk. So this just helps you go through and recognize all the things that your body is doing for you, because your body's amazing and we want women to know that their bodies are amazing. And the more that you can go through from head to toe what your body does for you on a daily basis to keep you breathing and living, you realize how amazing it truly is. And then you stop complaining about your thighs or you know, your whatever.
You have 5 tips to forgive those who suck. Now, when you're in business, that's really, you probably need more than 5. But what are the 5, or the ones that stand out the most?
I think one of them definitely is seeing the other as yourself. I think that's a really important tool in forgiveness, because sometimes you don't understand or recognize what people are going through in the moments of frustration or fear or doubt. You don't know what hand they've been dealt. And so when you can have that reflection, and sometimes it's really hard. I know being sexually assaulted, it's hard for me to view that person as someone that is, maybe, you know, that person was vulnerable themselves. Maybe they were taught that that's okay. Maybe they weren't taught. Maybe, you know, they had abusive parents. I don't know that person's story, but the more that I can just try to sympathize a bit, I can start to find a little bit of my own healing. And then by doing that, you can then forgive them from afar. So some people like that, you may not ever talk to again. I've never talked to that person again. I don't plan on talking to that person again, but I had to kind of look at that situation and then forgive from afar.
Very important.
Did you accomplish it?
Yes, I think I'm getting there. I think it's definitely an ongoing process, I think, with victims of sexual assault, because as you see in the news, that's a huge issue and a huge hot topic right now, blowing up across college campuses and with celebrities and all of these people coming out. And I think sexual assault victims, you don't actually, sometimes it's so traumatizing that you don't understand what happened to you until years later, which was the case for me. It took me 5 years to understand that and to come to terms with it, and your brain just gets warped. And so sometimes, you know, I'm like, yeah, I forgive him. And then like 3 months later, I'm like, no. So forgiveness can definitely take time, but you know, by using the simple tools, it makes it a lot easier, especially so you're not blaming yourself anymore and you can find some sort of peace.
You talk about non-negotiable standards. What are some of those?
Well, I mean, you can relate this to dating, as we talked about in the book, I think. You have, so for example, in dating, you want to make sure that you're choosing a partner that's worthy of you and your love. So you want to have these non-negotiables. So for example, a non-negotiable for me is I would never date a man that does drugs, right? It's a non-negotiable. Health is very important to me. I'm, obviously a nutritionist, and also a non-negotiable is someone that doesn't take care of their health. So drugs, smoking, not taking care of themselves physically, not going to the gym, not having a activity, that all to me are non-negotiable. Those are non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone's different. You just have to find what you're willing, because I think what happens is a lot of women and men too get in relationships because it's kind of the effect, they're attracted to the person and right off they have this chemistry, and then but really is that person may be completely opposite of what they need or what they're worthy of. And so I think it's important to have those things set out so you don't find yourself down a wrong path.
Right, and non-negotiables also for women should be things like making sure they're be treated like an equal, not being talked down to, and a lot of the signs that we put in, 20 signs that you're dating a creep, making sure that a lot of those signs are non-negotiables for people.
You both practice nutrition, and you both practice Kung Fu. You're the Kung Fu.
Yeah, she's the
Kung Fu. Okay.
She'll kick your butt.
She'll kick. Yeah.
I would never do that.
However, you might try. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about nutrition, because I want to get in and do some moves with the Kung Fu. That's where I would really like to learn.
Great.
Because you hear about older women in their 90s being mugged and raped and everything else. And just one thing can really solve the problem or save their lives. So that I would really, that's top. But let's go back to nutrition, because I'm a chocoholic. And I know that if I'm really getting one of these chocolate binges, that I have to increase my magnesium.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
Because, all right, so if I increase my magnesium, do I have to increase my vitamin C at the same time? Or how do you know what foods you can grab on the go besides chocolate?
I think having some chocolate, dark chocolate, 70% cacao or more, is okay. I don't think that chocolate is necessarily a bad food for you unless it's like the milk chocolate, the Hershey's, that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that. But high quality, organic chocolate, dark chocolate is actually a good thing.
Oh, good, because I'll tell you, I found a chocolatier too that does organic, and it has a very short shelf life.
Right.
And, oh my God, thank God.
We're chocoholics.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
the two
We love
great
chocolate.
places. Oh, okay. So what do you do instead? I mean, if you're on the street, there's all these kiosks that have got the vegetable stands and stuff. What can you grab besides a banana that you can eat and go?
For sweet craving,
Yeah.
dates are really great, and a lot of the street vendors will carry those. Figs, dried figs, dates. What else?
Any fruit. I mean, any fruits.
Any fruit, really. What's in season would be better, of course.
I always suggest too people to have what I call a snack attack station. So you can set it up in your purse, in your backpack. You can put one in the car, wherever you're going to be, so that you don't get what I like to call hangry, when you're so hungry that you're like angry and you're like, no, I don't want a banana off the street. I want chocolate. But you have something in place and you know what your cravings are. So maybe if it's salty, you can have some salted cashews on hand. You can have they make the little squares of the dark chocolate that you can have a couple to just, get you through your craving.
Lara bars are
Lara
great.
bars are the best. They're really good.
What's in your, what did you call it?
My snack attack station?
Snack attacks, yes.
I actually have Lara bars. I have Nib More chocolate. They make these daily dose chocolates, and they're super good. They're really good. They have a mint one, and I just tried. They have a new sea salt one. That's, oh my goodness, so good. I also will have some Mary's Gone Raw crackers. I have these little snack packs of them that I'll carry around. So also Vega smoothie packets. So
I'm a big Vega fan, yeah. Vega, it's all plant-based protein. So they make bars and smoothie powders and all that kind of stuff.
But the smoothie powders are great because if you're really on the go, you can just grab like a bottle of water or a, like I'll get almond milk and the little almond milks to go, and I'll just throw it in there. If I really feel like I need something, but I don't really have time, but I want something that'll give me a boost. So all those things.
Ideally, you want to have a little bit of protein with your snack. That way it'll stabilize your blood sugar for a longer time than just having a straight carbohydrate. Especially something sugary or fruit, it's gonna bring you up, but shortly after it'll bring you back down. So protein will help just regulate your blood sugar levels a bit.
And almond butter packets. I keep those, so I'll put them with, if I want an apple, I'll have an almond butter packet. So I'll have the apple with the almond butter or the crackers with the almond butter.
I'm hungry.
I know, me too.
Another, if I'm treating also, coconut macaroons.
Coconut macaroons. The problem
Like the
comes
nice ones.
The problem that comes in nowadays is that so much of the stuff has got non-GMO
Has
ingredients,
GMOs.
and
Right.
I found that I used to be, I won't name brands, but I used to be a big candy bar from the street fanatic. I go from one block to the next block, and I had to have 2 candy bars before I knew it. And now, as I got older, I can't eat the candy anymore because it feels like it's waxy. So, and I am sure they're using GMOs in it because I know in Europe it's a different candy bar than it is here.
Absolutely.
And it's, you got to be so careful.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the, I can't, don't, I mean, if
Yeah,
I get started on this kind of stuff, I won't stop, but dairy and meat animal products especially is the one thing that I would make sure that I recommend to everyone is to go organic whenever possible. What is going into the food supply here is crazy. Not only are all the animals fed a not natural diet, they're being fed like soy and corn, which is not natural for animals to eat. They're being pumped, filled with growth hormones and antibiotics and all kinds of stuff that we're ingesting.
See, and I don't eat anything that's soy-based.
Okay, good.
I cut that out
Right.
years ago. I don't remember why. I think I heard something that has something to do with your hormones. So I cut that out, and I don't eat anything that's diet.
Right.
That's great.
That's
You could be teaching nutrition
Yeah.
with those tips.
well, yeah, but don't forget I'm a real chocoholic.
There you go.
Well, one of the things too we talk about in the book is, and that I like attest to, is eating without guilt. And so, if you're going to have something, and it's quote unquote bad for you, eat it and feel really, really good about it. Like if you're gonna have a cupcake, if you're gonna have a donut, if you're gonna have a piece of cake, if you're going to a party and you know there's going to be pizza, whatever it may be that is your weakness, eat it and feel really good about it because it actually helps you process it better. It gets any nutrients that are in that donut or whatever, you actually get those nutrients because when you're stressing about it, your hormones, and 95% of your hormones sit in your gut and they just pretty much go wacky. And when you're stressing about eating something that's bad for you, so just eat it and enjoy it. And
that's how I am with my wine.
Let's get into some kung fu moves.
Sure. So,
Self-defense.
yes, may I? So kung fu is a type of martial art.
Okay.
So martial arts is like the overarching umbrella. Under that, depending on where the martial art was originated, which country it originated from, that's how they're categorized. So kung fu is really specifically a Chinese martial art. That's not what I studied. I studied a martial art called Hapkido, which is Korean based.
it's intense. It's like one of the most intense ones.
Wow.
But it's based on self-defense, and I learned a lot of great self-defense moves and trained in them for very long. So I love it. I think it's great. Again, I recommend World Martial Arts Center, if I can say, that they're based here in New York. So that's where I learned everything. And would you like to do
Absolutely.
some moves? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Well, before we get to the physical stuff, I always want to start with the ABCs of self-defense.
Okay.
And the A is awareness. We've talked a lot about being aware and making sure that you can see, hear around you, everything that's going on. Walking down the street late at night, make sure you're not wearing headphones, you're not talking on your cell phone, you're not walking and texting. These are all big distractions that will make you look like a giant target to an onlooking predator. So a lot of times predators will watch you for a bit before they attack. So A stands for awareness. B stands for boundaries. You want to make sure that you have personal boundaries and physical boundaries. So personal boundaries meaning no one really should be in this space unless I've invited them there. I know who they are. But
You obviously don't ride the subway at 5 o'clock.
I know. People slammed up next to you, even more so that you need to be aware in those situations.
Because you don't know who could come sneak something out of your purse. They're that, beside you like that. You need to make sure even your belongings you can see them all.
Right.
Even backpacks, someone can, if you're on the subway, someone can take something right out.
True.
Absolutely. And then I've had weird experiences late night on the subways, being flashed and all kinds of weird stuff. So again, being aware of what's around you, who's around you, what's going on. And then C stands for communication, and mostly we communicate with our bodies first. So especially for safety and self-defense, they say about 55% is physiology, so our body language. Again, walking with your shoulders stooped, head down, looking kind of nervous, you're a walking target. Stand straight, shoulders back, make eye contact. The rest, 38% then is tonality, the tone in your voice of the way you're gonna yell at that guy who's about to, grab you or too close to you. Yeah, question?
You're saying a guy, but women can be a predator also.
Yes, we talked about this, but 9 times out of 10 it is a man. So, sorry guys.
It's the way it is.
It's the way it is. And then 7% is vocabulary. So it's almost more important how you deliver your message with your body, with your tone, right? And you're not just saying, no, please stay away from me, or, get away from me. It's a very big difference in how that comes across and how that's perceived. So those are the ABCs. Mm-hmm. Awareness, boundaries, communication. And now let's get into the physical.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Jennifer.
Yes.
Show us some moves.
All right, great. So, assuming that you have been practicing your ABCs, awareness, boundaries, and communication, sometimes something that sucks can happen, right? So we can be taken off guard, taken advantage of. But if you have some moves in your tool belt, or some tools in your tool belt, I like to say, then you'll have a greater chance of survival. So first thing, you want to make sure you know what your weapons are, the weapons that you have on your body. So you have your hands, which I would suggest using fingers in the eyes, right? Like this, thumb in the eye, whatever you can do.
In the eye is what you're saying.
In the eyes, right in the eyeballs. Mm-hmm. The next one.
What if he's tall?
Well, then.
I guess you gotta.
It's funny you say that. I always used to ask my martial arts master the same thing. Like, I'm so sure. What if my attacker's so tall? And his answer, make him your height. How do you do that? Knee him in the ball. Knee him in the groin.
Oh, I like the first one. I'm gonna
The New Yorker is coming out in Jen.
So what happens when a man gets hit in the groin, right away his hips go back, and now all of a sudden he's more your height. And then you'd have your eyes, right? And also, the other thing you need to know is what are the 3 most effective targets to strike. And those are eyes, throat, and groin on a man, right? So again, eyes with the fingers, throat, you can punch right into the throat here.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And that'll disrupt his breathing, obviously, and hurt his trachea. You can also hit on the side of his neck, like that, and that disrupts the blood flow, right, on the carotid artery. And the 3rd most important target is the groin. And that you're gonna kind of grab onto your attacker and drive your knee straight in, okay? So, yes, and we're gonna do each one. I'm gonna show you 3 moves.
All right.
That any woman can do. I think any woman can do. It doesn't take a lot of practice or skill. So everyone kind of start here. This is called a fighting stance. Knees are slightly bent, hands are up, make fists if you can, get those thumbs in. There you go. Okay.
Inside,
so the first
what you're
one,
saying.
yeah, or just wrapped around. There
Oh.
you go. So the first thing we're going to do, if your attacker's already on you, is throw a couple of elbow strikes. So elbows and knees are great short distance weapons. That means the attacker's already on you. So first one, the elbow's going to come straight up, right? And that's going to hit right underneath the attacker's chin. So straight up, boom. Let's do it 2 more times. Boom, and 1 more, good. The next one, we're going to take our other elbow and come across like that. Good, right across the face. So if his hands are on your neck, you can bring that elbow up and across the face.
And if you're
Nice.
at home, this is just great aerobics.
Yes, definitely. It is a core workout. Okay, good. And then the third move we're going to do is that knee strike. So from here, I'm nice and balanced. I'm in my fighting stance. My attacker's grabbing me. I'm going to grab him back. I'm going to drive the knee straight in towards the groin and then come back. Good. So again, grab, groin. There you go. Couple more times. Nice.
Okay, this is good for exercise.
Yeah.
What's at the core?
This works your core. Absolutely. Anytime you're on one leg or one foot, you're imbalanced and you're working your core strength. Good. And it's also
Now,
cardio.
So you bring it to the side.
Right. I mean, this is the person's shoulder, so really wherever he's going to go.
Oh, because I kept pulling it towards me, which is not a good move. So
Right.
you want to do it. Okay.
There you
so-
go. Right. So now we can put those 3 moves together. Okay. So we're going to come upward
I
elbow.
got to get my thumbs in the right position.
Good.
Elbow.
Cross elbow.
Oh, so you don't move the legs though.
Correct.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Boom. And then we're going to grab onto our attacker and drive the knee. Good. Again, so upward elbow, cross elbow, and knee. Boom.
Oh,
That's okay.
yeah,
One more
but
time.
wait, because
Upward elbow, cross, and
you know what my problem is? I keep moving my right leg.
yeah.
So I should stay still.
Right. Just stay grounded. That's the most important thing.
So
because
we
your
go up.
attacker is going to try and get you off balance. Mm-hmm.
And then grab.
Excellent. And then come right
Okay.
back down.
Oh, see,
Okay.
but I'm always going back in this position.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go back in this position.
This is a
Okay.
fighting stance. Another thing to remember if you are ever grabbed or choked
Yes.
is to base out. And that again is dropping your center of gravity, right? So just step back, right? Someone's around your neck, just step back. This is called basing out. Also, this is a little lifesaver. When someone is choking you, the first thing you can do is drop your chin to your chest, like so, and that'll give you a little extra time to breathe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm not going to grab your neck.
Thank you.
My hands are too cold. but something to remember. So whenever being choked, God forbid, chin to the chest, base out, and then you can do your fingers in the eyes, your elbow, your knee, whatever you're going to follow up with.
And it's not like you have to do them in that order.
No.
It's whatever. It's not a routine.
Yeah. Those are just 3 separate movements. You can use them over and over. You can do 10 knees in a row. Whatever you have to do to fight back and get your attacker down, or that he gives up and says, you know what, she's not worth it. I'm going to go find another target. And you get out of there as fast as you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I hope nobody ever has to use any of these
Me too.
tools, but they're always good to know.
Yes.
In the closing moments of the show, what would you like to leave the audience with?
Ladies, no matter what age you are, please go take one self-defense class. Especially, and then I love to say each one teach one. So if you know a younger woman who maybe is in college or heading off to college for the first time and leaving the safety of her parents' home, to make sure that that girl definitely learns some self-defense and reads our book.
90-year-old women,
Yes.
they're not going to have all that strength. I mean, many of them are walking with canes or the walkers. What can they do?
Oh, they can use that walker and that cane as a weapon. In fact, in Hapkido, cane is a weapon that we are trained to like hit people with, and so I mean they could learn that.
Okay.
But really, it's about trying to avoid that in the first place. So trying not to be alone out there and vulnerable. Always have someone with you if possible, and really just spatial awareness
what if you see somebody attacking somebody else? What do you do?
The
I mean,
fir- yeah.
because your first rule is to protect yourself. Then what? 9/11, but I mean,
Yes, definitely call 911, and then it's really an individual choice because there's so many factors that you can't cover them all, right? So if you feel like you can help that situation, then obviously, yes, it would be great to help, but I'm not going to go tell people to put themselves in harm's way to do that if they don't have the confidence or the skills or to protect themselves even.
yeah, especially on a subway platform, you can be down there or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you've learned some moves that you will never, ever have to use. Write us here at the Women's Connection. We'd love to hear from you. Bye now.